I knew about Hell's Paradise coming out for a while now. It was one that I had heard a lot of hype around, and one that people were claiming would be Anime of the Year even before the season was released. Its fanbase was cheering out the name of Gabimaru, and how great this anime was gonna be, all while having the amazing animation that MAPPA was gonna give it, and that it would mark Hell's Paradise down in the history of anime as one to remember forever. I heard about this hype, and I got pretty excited for it. I was ready for it to come out and watch it and see what all of this was about. And then about a month had passed, and I had completely forgot about it. It completely flew under my radar until it was in around episode 4 when I realized it came out and was pressured into watching it by my boss. So I started watching it. And my god, is there a lot to talk about. But before we get into that, I would like to play a little game. Something that, as you all know by now, was stolen from the New World Review, an anime content creator that you need to check out right at this nanosecond. The link to his channel in the description right now. Gabimaru is hiding from one of the Tensen that he's been fighting because he's absolutely exhausted and needs a drink that'll fuel him back up. It is up to you to decide what that drink should be. If you choose wrong, Gabimaru will not have enough energy to beat the Tensen and will die in the fight, unable to ever see his wife again, and you will be forced to face the Tensen straight afterwards. And of course, you will also be forced to like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this in your feed. Choose now from these 3 drinks, and I'll reveal the answer in 3, 2, 1. And it was RC Cola that was the correct answer. If you chose right, great job! Gabimaru gets to see his wife again, and you get absolutely nothing. But if you chose wrong, then you must like and subscribe right now. I'll sit here and wait for you to do it. Oh, are you done? Oh, alright, good. Thank you very much, and now, back to the video. And now I get to talk about Hell's Paradise. It was ultimately so-so. There's really just sort of a lot to unfold about season 1 of this anime, so I'll really just start at the beginning of it all. The first few episodes of Hell's Paradise were absolutely amazing. We start off episode 1 with meeting our main character Gabimaru the Hollow. We're introduced to him as if he was this completely heartless killing machine that was born and raised to be a thoughtless killer and only listens to the orders given to him by his master. He has been captured and sentenced to death by a village, and every single execution attempt has been for naught, as we see Gabimaru is basically invulnerable to all execution methods. His body is just able to withstand it all. That's until we meet Sagiri, a woman that has come from an organization of highly skilled executioners that causes Gabimaru to actually run in fear for his life. But before executing him, Sagiri gives him the mission that she was sent for, an offer of a pardon if he can get the elixir of life from an island that nobody has ever returned from. This is also when we found out that Gabimaru has a wife that he loves dearly and will do absolutely anything to get back to her, so he accepts the task. This all happens in the first episode. All of the backstory and the progression that we need for the start of an anime is portrayed in this first episode. In just the next episode, there's already further selection of criminals to go onto the island, more phantom stories about what they knew about the island, and more characterizations of the Asaemon that are with the criminals. And then on the third episode, they're already on the island. It all just happens so quickly, it's hard to keep up in a sense. But if I'm being completely honest, for an anime like this, I really think that this was the right call to make. We are introduced to this mysterious island that is the name of the show, and in just the third episode, we are already on that island. We know as the viewer that this island is not right, that it isn't just a paradise that they are portraying. We know that there will be monsters, demons, and just a bunch of horrible things coming their way. So instead of dilly-dallying and poking around the subject for the entire show of like 4 or 5 episodes, we get straight into it as soon as we possibly can. The pacing here, while it does feel fast, feels completely right for an anime like this to be. And that fast pacing then continues on to from episode 3 when we get to see more of the island, more of the criminals and their power, and more really well animated fighting. From the first 4 episodes or so, there is just really good fighting while not sacrificing on the character development of other characters and learning more about their backstories. All of this caused me to be really hooked into Hell's Paradise and really excited every week to keep watching. That's all until around episode 5 or so when we really actually just hit a brick wall. Up until then, we had nothing but breakneck fast pacing, something that was benefiting the series. And I do know that soon enough there does need to be some slowing down of this pace to make sure we're just not doing that throughout the entire series, but just not that quickly. We went from breakneck pacing to an absolute standstill of an episode. The entire episode is people standing and sitting around and just talking, to a kind of sort of action sequence that pans out in the middle, a little bit, and then back to more talking. This just sort of happens for a few episodes. We finally are in a part where we're developing the story with the island of Hell's Paradise and the history of the island. It's important that we've gotten these moments, but in just such a sudden halt to the pace we were getting previously, it just stops all natural progression that we were trying to go for. So much so that I actually forgot about the show really and just stopped watching weekly. It got to a point where the season had already finished by this point, and I realized that I stopped watching it. So I started to pick it up back again and binge the rest. That's when I got to the real bulk of the Tenzin. The Tenzin is exactly what Hell's Paradise needed to get back on its feet. After the show had died down a bit, it got pretty bland. Honestly, after we've seen the first parts of the island, the Tenzin and their show of power over the characters are a fresh breath of oh shit air. There are extraordinary powerful beings that are a mix of genders of their choosing, which comes into play later, and they're pretty blatantly symbolisms of gods amongst the island. And on top of that, their character designs are absolutely amazing. I mean, you look at the women and you keep your hands out of your pants. Then you look at the men and you keep your hands out of your pants. And then you look at the Tenzin and question everything you have ever known about your sexuality. And then you keep your hands out of your pants. After the Tenzin were introduced, the pace of the show picks back up into the flow that will carry on for the rest of the season, and honestly will continue to carry on into the rest of the series. We get these powerful beings that are seemingly unkillable. We get to learn about the hidden power system of this world and how the characters are starting to pick up on it. And we get to see more development between some of the characters and their matching personalities / unique takes of life on their differences. We get back into an amazing flow of things of tragedy and victory, and then when the flow is still going well and strong, the season ends. We have Gabimaru losing his memory, becoming a threat to this newfound friend group, and then the season ends. The flow of the season was flowing strong and making a name for itself, and then we again hit the brick wall of a stopping point. This is my biggest problem with Hell's Paradise. It was a series that I was really enjoying quite a lot while watching it weekly, but there were just those middle episodes that entirely just made the pace of the series fall off a cliff and made it almost unbearable to watch. There was just a bit too much sitting around and doing nothing that happened so suddenly after there was a good flow of action and backstory talking. It kills the flow and the expectations of how the show is going to be for the next few episodes for the worse. It made the show die off for a few episodes to me, and I'm not the only one that thinks this. Everyone that I've talked to about the show agrees that the show fell off pretty hard halfway through, and some of them even stopped watching completely since they didn't just want to waste their time on an inconsistent show. Pacing in any show is just such an important thing to master. It's what makes the show move, and it's what keeps the attention of the audience that's supposed to be loving your show. If pacing slows too fast, or it's just going to have breakneck speed that nobody can keep up, people lose interest and either will stop watching or just quote on how the show being terrible, which would drop the potential viewing of the show by a considerable amount. If Hell's Paradise kept up its pacing just a little more, rather than having the pretty abrupt halt, I feel the show would have been more loved. That would have been a pretty strong contender for Anime of the Year this year, but the pacing of the show just seemed to not work out. But I still do hold out hope for the next season. I've read the entirety of the manga now, and I am unreasonably excited. We did end the season off on a decently good note with the pacing. It picked itself back up. The Tenzin were introduced, we got an interesting backstory with the characters, the power system of the world is being revealed, we had the big bad guys, and a goal in place with some changes still on the horizon. It has set itself up very well to continue on to the next season and become one of the animes of whatever season is going to come out. We just have to hope that for the love of God, they don't slow it back down to a snail's pace and make the show boring as it once was. But that's just my, as always, objectively correct opinion. But for once, I actually do want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. I've been getting pretty the same vibe from general Reddit and Twitter feeds that they agree with the show dropping off a little bit about halfway through. It made numbers drop off quite a bit, but they did recover quite quickly, and I'd be interested if you all think the same way. Also, while you're down there, if you've enjoyed the video, consider hitting that like and subscribe button for me. It helps me out and it lets me know what kind of content you would like to see in the future. Also, let me know what kind of other topics you guys would want me to cover, and I'll see what you guys have in mind. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.